The chair will now recognize members for 5 minutes for questions. And I will be going first, and I'm going to direct my first question to Mr. Dustin Clatouche. You mentioned in your statement that your tribe felt fortunate to have been able to secure enactment of a bill in the 117th Congress to allow the tribe to enter into leases up to 99 years. Was time of the essence in getting that bill passed, and why did the tribe need to get it done during the last Congress?
First and foremost, we wanted to keep the interests of the two outside entities that had approached us about warehouse projects. The more time that passed, the more likely that outside businesses will lose interest or look elsewhere. Also, we wanted to keep the option open to begin construction during the construction season in our area, which is April to October.
Wonderful, thank you for that. I'd like to also question Mr. Rupnick. You testified in favor of establishing a new process for acquiring lands under tribal jurisdiction in restricted fee status. Do you believe that restricted fee land status would be more efficient for the federal government as well as for the tribal governments?
Yes, I do. And part of that is that tribes can assume jurisdiction over those lands immediately, and thereby reducing resources needed from the federal government to manage and apply those lands there. Right now, as I stated in my testimony, we had fee status, application for a trust status that took over 14 years to be able to get that done for us to try and enhance our operation, our Class 3 gaming operation. With the federal government, BIA, Department of Interior, going through all the different assessments and everything else and just essentially stonewalling a lot of this stuff, that's what really hinders tribes when they're trying to build economic development within the reservation. So being able to reduce a lot of that paperwork, being able to reduce those areas that are required by oversight from regulations or unneeded regulations would definitely benefit the tribe and help reduce those costs. Thank you.
Well, that makes sense, and I'm surprised at the amount of time that you've referenced in your testimony as to what it took to be able to develop and work forward, move forward with those projects. Mr. Robinson, in 2016, Congress enacted the Indian Trust Asset Reform Act, which you referred to, and among several things, it authorized a demonstration project in which Indian tribes may be authorized to negotiate to assume management and control of its non-mineral trust assets under a plan approved by the Secretary of Interior. And under the ITERA demonstration project, your tribe took over some forest management activities, I understand. Can you tell the committee specifically what activities this includes and how ITERA works?
Yes, thank you for the question. So the forest management activities that the tribe assumed are those same forest management activities that are listed under the National Indian Forest Resource Management Act. So these include things like timber sales, timber permits, prescribed burn plans, forestry enterprise agreements, and other authorities that would generally be approved under the BIA through the National Indian Forest Resource Management Act. And the way that ITARA works is that as tribes assume responsibility under the demonstration project, they're able to take on those authorities that the Bureau of Indian Affairs had been performing on behalf of the tribe. And so now those decisions are being made by the tribal government under tribal rules and regulation as opposed to federal rules and regulations.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. And finally, Ms. Waveline, you commented and testified about the need for infrastructure and the impact that a lack of roads has for the rural community that you represent, the rural tribes. Is the federal government involved in all of the decisions related to road building on your reservation?
Yes, on behalf of the Thanat Nation, the roads program is a BIA roads program. And so not only the state, but the federal roads that consist on the Thanat Nation, so the bureaucracy that does create for getting approvals and partnerships. I know that the nation has stepped up to try to remedy some of the impacts on the roads, but because of liability issues, we are prohibited from pursuing any of those endeavors in addressing the potholes, the cracks in the road, and our bridges and whatnot. And so it becomes a liability issue if the nation is to continue to address those needs. And so it's the BIA at the federal level that is technically responsible for the roads on the Tohono O'odham Nation. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thank you all for your testimony and responding. The chair now recognizes the ranking minority member for her questioning.